Hello, and welcome back to Coin Lady channel. Some of the shifts in the current economic structure are also discussed. But what exactly is this intergenerational transfer of wealth? Then, we'll talk about some problems that have arisen as a result of this necessary process of passing wealth down through the generations. Well, I appreciate you inviting me here, so that's a good start. And if you're only thinking about it now that you're behind, the train has already left the station. Quite frequently, in fact. And it's quite accurate, particularly with respect to this subject. What people need to know, it seems to me, is that wealth is being passed down through generations. Boomers like myself are being singled out because we have the most discretionary funds. As you might expect, however, when you think about the generations that will follow, technically the millennials or everyone born between 1980 and 1996, we will also have the opportunity to think about assets entirely differently in the future. The wealth management business has huge potential. Instead of giving them dinner and taking them golfing, you should be considering how you can utilize your knowledge and technology to your advantage. After all, if you aren't utilizing their app on their phone, you're already behind the times. Again, it has appeared. The distribution of wealth, in particular, appears to be undergoing a dramatic shift at the present time. In my opinion, the best way to deal with the problem of wealth transfer is to notice that a lot of money is changing hands. However, I do think a sizable chunk of that money will be tokenized. I anticipate a wealth transfer whether or not that shifts to the digital realm. I anticipate a major impact from this one as well. And if you need an example, Rosie Rios is a good one. Put no stock in what I say. Nonetheless, we are aware that the primary purpose of cryptocurrencies is to facilitate trade. Since this video was originally published on October 24th, XRP Dips presented this issue, and yes, Rosie Rios is also featured because it will lead us to proceed to the next few topics I do wish to discuss. Brad Garland's House and then Rosie Rails are two songs I'd love to play. Multiple options exist for financing businesses nowadays. One of the challenges, in my opinion, has been shifting the industry's focus to real problems with real customers. And it's obvious that early on, Ripple's focused on the problem of international payments, which are notoriously difficult because to high fees and lengthy processing times. By focusing our efforts there, we were able to have a major effect on that, tiny part. But I predict that in the next few years, you will witness a great increase in the number of financial transactions that do not involve a middleman. Blockchain and other digital asset-related technologies will be used for this purpose. You have probably recognized this insecure settlement as an opportunity, and you know that improving the efficiency of those processes will benefit society as a whole. Also, when dealing with bonds or derivatives in the financial market, the time and tension required to handle many of these issues is a drag on productivity in the workplace. In my opinion, it will have an effect on your industry. A number of our customers have extended invitations to join the trade financing industry, which is a sector that particularly interests us. In addition, you have seen firsthand how real estate titles are managed and how an identity experiment is conducted. Just as I never would have imagined being able to touch a button on my smartphone and have a car pick me up minutes later when I first became connected with the Internet of Information 25 years ago, all of these are examples where I think it will be very tough to predict what will happen next. I think this will eventually permeate many parts of our culture. You people act like this will unlock some magical aspect of human society, and then you don't do it again. Payments, in my opinion, are always the initial step in a process. In fact, I anticipate that the most widespread application of this technology will be in the realm of financial transactions. However, this and other companies are starting to affect trade financing. In addition, Rosie Rios is here to talk about the business world and blockchain technology. Hello, I'm Rosie Rios, a current board member of Ripple and the former U.S. Treasury Secretary. In fact, one of my favorite topics of conversation is the intersection of innovation and policymaking. Having spent my formative years in Silicon Valley and having family roots in the Bay Area, it goes without saying that I've seen a lot of transformation. And what I like best is that constructive conversation is finally starting to happen. I think this is a fantastic chance for us as a country, region, or perhaps the entire world to think carefully about where fintech is going, who the players are, and how we can all benefit. When contemplating growth, this is what happens. The expansion of the gross domestic product, GDP, is only one part of the whole. However, that's also the source of fresh growth, and it often arises from current breakthroughs and advancements in technology. That's why I think it's so important for businesses and governments to work together, to restore confidence in the economy's potential for sustained growth and, by extension, job creation. As a result, blockchain technology is not going away. Therefore, the topic extends more than simply how to facilitate trade. LFTs can be used for more than just real estate transactions and are applicable to any type of financial ledger. For the sake of history, this will remain. Local, state, and federal governments should all think carefully about the effects these applications will have on the public good. Nonetheless, I think the most significant query is, what are those limits? Guys, we have the chance right now to figure out what we can do to move forward in a way that actually breaks new ground and paves the way for development and prospects we may not even be aware of just yet. And if we take a deeper look at the world, we already have norms and standardization in place that considerably simplify the path toward cryptocurrency. There is still plenty to accomplish, but we are getting closer and closer to our goals every day. Adoption of Bitcoin is, a fact, nearing its conclusion, but this process will take time, occur gradually, and include some peculiar market activity. As a result, it is possible that we will witness one more cycle of uncontrolled cryptocurrency assets. The market will then go into a bear phase as we wait for the proposed regulatory changes to take effect. I've always believed that new limitations could be discovered at any point, and that this is something we don't really know or can't truly foresee. We know that the goal is to have cryptocurrency regulations in place by the end of 2025, as the G20 is working on such frameworks with numerous major international organizations, including Ripple. Thus, it might occur at any point throughout the fall in 2 years, whether it's the end of 2025, or possibly the end of 2024. As a result, several recent events on this front have been very interesting to follow. The market and industry trends, however, are maturing, and genuine use cases are beginning to blossom, as she points out. I now turn to a video from November 8 in which it is stated that the next blockchain technology would be institution-grade and able to handle real-time payments globally, and that these practical applications will eventually replace pure-play cryptocurrencies. The reason I want to bring this up once more is that XRP and Ripple are the frontrunners when it comes to adoption by large financial institutions. They were only working together with HSBC to provide institutional-level custody services. The reason I brought this up once more is to speculate on the outcomes of our investigation into high-security detention options. And you guessed it, the institutions that provide custody services for tokenized securities, indicative of a desire to settle tokenized shares using a blockchain. The sedimentary layer is up next for inspection. So, how exactly would one settle these currencies? It's all good, you're right. NXP. The genuine question we want to address is, what other use cases are they going to explore? Do they plan to enable internet banking after taking tokenization and settlement into account? Will they enable the public's wide adoption of digital wallets? Because even though this may simply be custody services, you'd have to consider what else this may develop into. This is what I look at when we discuss institutional-grade apps like custody services. That there are revolutionary shifts occurring on the institutional side of adoption is exciting to me for the same reason. But today we also heard a really important statement, so let's go back to the 10th. But since it's a big announcement on talking about it in this video, Payment Infrastructure News indicates that the EU agreement on instant payment payments contains a SEPA bomb because non-banks will also have access to the ECB infrastructure and payment systems, leading to a significant increase in competition according to reporters and market participants. Parliament's negotiating team also succeeded in removing the need for fintech companies to pay banks to handle payments on their behalf by gaining direct access to the ECB's payment infrastructure, details below. It's actually a fairly major adjustment. Furthermore, it strongly casts doubt on the premise that SEPA's implementation of ISO 2002 will be delayed. You can see that the European Parliament has reached an agreement for EU banks to provide instant payments at no extra cost, making Euro instant transfers more affordable and accessible to businesses and consumers across the EU. Due to an agreement between the European Parliament and the Spanish presidency, the money will now be deposited directly into the bank accounts of ordinary EU consumers and businesses as soon as possible. It's a big one, actually. This is very important. Instant credit transfers, as we'll see below, are intended to be performed immediately regardless of the time of day or night, with the goal of having the transferred funds credited to the payer's payment account within 10 seconds of the European Parliament receiving the payment request. If the transferred funds are ready for payment within 10 seconds, the payer should be notified. If not, I know of a program that is faster than ODC. Here. European Union regulations stipulate that financial institutions must provide instant payment solutions to their customers at no extra cost. Customers will like the added flexibility in how they may make purchases. Companies will save money and the EU's payment systems will become more competitive. The negotiating team from the Parliament also succeeded to secure direct access for fintech companies, reducing the need for them to pay banks to handle it for them provided that certain standards are met. Fees for credit transfer transactions in euros, as reported by the European Parliament, must be more than the costs incurred by PSPs for payers and payments made in relation to or as an apology for such transactions. As a result, substantial monetary changes are currently taking place, but with unclear payments. The world is one big rave. This is the essential point. Nonetheless, there is currently no imminent resolution in sight. With the increased frequency of these payments comes the question of when the settlement layer will be modernized to allow for instant settlement. That, in my perspective, is what we are waiting for. And I think that's what we're prepared for as well. Furthermore, I feel that's where a lot of the big decisions will be determined. First of all, standardization is still important. Once outside of standardization is ISO 22222, we require guidelines. Once more of that is viewing. It's prominent as though obtain it right now anybody in the space who is a utility maxi should be getting thrilled. Since everything is lining up just right. Everything is coming together flawlessly. This is the moment where XRP may truly take off as a big player and naturally become a household name. They're going to have a big influence on the world stage. Having said that, enjoy the video and please subscribe to notifications if you want to. See you soon, bye.